Welcome to the Arcfluence Podcast, where we talk about how design impacts the way we live, work, and invest. I'm Nick Karakan, your host, and with me, as always, are my two amazing co-hosts,
Paul Fackins and
Nino Samardzic.
Paul, you look like you wanted to say it, so I paused.
I was getting ready to jump in. I was waiting for it, and then you paused, so I jumped in. We're talking about the invest portion today, right?
Yeah, you guys are going to be asking me questions today.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm in the hot seat.
You're in a hot seat.
Oh, boy.
You can talk, we'll ask a few questions, but I think also in general, like we can talk a little bit about work in Hocking, right? Down
Perfect.
in Hocking.
Yep.
I like that.
So we've done a couple of, A-frame cabins and...
Lodges.
Yeah.
Yeah. Standard cabins.
So for people outside of Columbus, won't be a bad idea to just say, what is the Hocking Hills? Where is it located? Just give us a little bit backgrounds, maybe some little history.
About an hour outside of Columbus.
Yeah, when the world or the country thinks of Ohio in general, I don't know that they realize how many people are in Ohio. We're the sixth most populated state, and how different it is all over this somewhat diverse and large state. I guess it's not terribly large if you go out west, but we definitely have a lot of people. If you're up north, you have Lake Erie. And you have the snow belt.
Yep.
And it's a completely different feel than when you go into central Ohio and Columbus, where we have this hustle and bustle metropolis that is now a very big city with over 2 million people in the greater Columbus area. Yeah, and it's just exploding with all this industry happening. And then you go down south, and we have the Ohio River, and we have these rolling hills.
It's definitely down south. I was there in Cincinnati for 3 years. The vibe is 100% different from anywhere else in Ohio, especially with Kentucky right there. You do feel like you're in the south.
And you got the Bourbon Trail not too far.
Yeah.
So, it's a completely different feel, and it's now become this getaway where since COVID hit, people have I just want to get away for the weekend. Yes. Where can I go? I just want to drive an hour or so. I don't want to be in the car all day. I want to go to a place where there's beautiful rolling hills, where there's tons of trees,
caves and waterfalls and
streams and animal life, and where I don't have to hear the highway, the sound of a highway, where I can just hear the birds chirp and silence and hawks and eagles and this plethora of natural life, natural animal life.
Yeah, we've done many day trips just down and back. It's so easy and accessible from Columbus.
So when did the Hocking Hills becomes very popular? Was it popular before COVID or during the COVID? They actually really
I think it's always been popular.
Yeah, it's always been a destination, but it's really blown up. A lot of investors have been going into Licking County and buying up these large tracts of land. Obviously, we purchased 134 acres last year.
We'll get to it, yeah.
And in the price of land and the amenities down there, the vineyards and the breweries are now all popping up. So it's becoming
depends
popular.
on the time of year too, because avoid holidays like Memorial Day or something like that. Because you go there, the parking lot is full. People are parking on the street to try and get into the parks and the areas and hike around and see again all the nature and just be immersed in it.
Old Man's Cave, that cavern is. How tall is that? That's got to be 30, 40 feet?
No, I think taller than that even. Yeah. Maybe 60, 70, 80 feet.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty tall.
Yeah. And now they've manicured trails and these experiences.
Yeah. So they enhance the experience.
Sure.
So the cave is the biggest attraction, I will say, is it? Or the rest?
There's Rock House is a good attraction. Whispering Cave. There's a lot. It's not just one thing like the Devil's Bathtub, Old Man's Cave. There's the whole region. There's even the land that Nick is on. There's topography and streams and
So Clear Creek is one of the largest metro. I think it is the largest metro.
Clear
Creek. I think it's the largest metro park in Ohio. It's about, don't hold me to this, but about 10,000 acres of rolling hills and forest.
Yeah. So it's a bunch of different things. It's not just one cave, that you go and see.
So the portion of it is actually the national park. The portion is actually just the private land.
Yep. State park. Yeah.
State park.
Yep.
And okay.
Yeah. And Nick is right up against a park, right?
Yeah. Clear Creek. Yeah.
Now tell us a little bit more about what actually.
Well, I think first we started getting some projects just down there.
Let's do that.
So I think that started to get you aware of the opportunity or potential
to
maybe invest in this area,
Sure.
right?
I like that chronological.
Yeah.
Like,
And we even did property management down there with the cliffs.
Yes.
That was the one project we worked on. That was the cabin that was like extending out over the terrain.
Yeah, I remember cliffs.
Like flying out with the cantilever.
But that still wasn't the first project there.
No. We done a couple others before that.
Let's start with the history of that. How we actually get engaged with the Hocking Hills, and then we're gonna end up with that beautiful property that you acquired recently.
So, I mean, over the years, we started working with investors, designing those types of properties, mostly here in Columbus, and everyone's like, well, what can we do next? So savvy investors are now they want something for themselves where they can enjoy with their families, get away, but also have some rental money.
Airbnb it, yeah.
Sure, of course. They want to make money on it as well. So we started designing cabins. Some have been modern and some have been classic. Obviously we've recently we've done some really cool A-frames. These are going to be $1 million plus builds.
Yeah, cabins,
just beautiful.
A-frames. Yeah.
Wow.
And we obviously got in working on some custom stuff on some potential projects with the cliffs.
That would have been. Unfortunately, that one didn't get built. But had they built it, would have been awesome.
And it's still on the cards. They might actually move forward on it.
So it's actually just landed at that time when we start hitting the really like a price hikes, like inflation.
Yes.
So it was like what we was planned to be the certain amount almost doubled. That was the crazy times, when the price
when
went up.
lumber was like 3-4 times what it used to be, 6 months ago.
Exactly, and people in contractors just start charging it because they could.
Sure. I mean, labor still hasn't come down.
No, it hasn't. But that was like a first shock with us, like a really like experience.
Did you guys ever see that South Park episode where the contractors are like the oligarchs?
No. I didn't.
Because it's like Stan's like, oh, my toilet's broken, I need it fixed, and come here, kids, I'm going to show you how to fix the toilet. And he picks up the phone. He's like calling the contractor. When can you come out to fix this? And it's like, what? How much is it going to be? And everyone just starts calling the like two guys that are the contract, and they just charge whatever they want.
Whatever they want. Yeah.
So that time reminds me of that.
That was pretty much like that.
The demand was crazy. Materials were crazy. Just anyone was charging whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. That's why. That's probably why they go like, oh my goodness. And plus, like, if you have any obstacles, and here you have like a 3,000 square feet house on almost 45 degrees slope.
Yeah, flying out over.
Exactly.
Overlooking the valley.
Exactly. And of course, contractor was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. $2-3 million.
But I mean, even now that's $1 million build.
It is.
Yes.
So, logistic is just like to get there. I mean, yeah. Just the foundation, it was.
But if you look at what you can charge to have 10, 12 people stay in a beautifully designed structure down there, I mean you're easily charging $1,000 a night.
Yeah, and just to mention that owner, he already have a property that he was it's quite
12,
big one,
like a 12-person cabin.
Exactly,
right?
and that thing was like a booked almost like all year.
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, Hocking is beautiful in the fall when all the leaves change. It's beautiful in the winter when there's a dusting of snow on everything and you have your evergreens. It's beautiful in the summertime where, I mean, our land is so thick that you can only see 30 feet out, and then it actually gets dark in the trees. You have to look up to see the light. Like, it's so thick that it starts getting darker. It's wild.
It is wild.
And then, I mean, I don't know, having a fire, having a cookout, hanging out with family is something that just you don't get to do a whole lot in the city.
No.
So it's nice to be able to get out and
just enjoy it.
Go hiking.
Yeah. So when did you start? So that kind of got you involved, right? And you said you managed a little bit of property down there. When did you start thinking about actually buying land, developing land?
Right away.
So as soon as you started seeing this activity, you started thinking, maybe I should buy something down here.
That's where that's how my brain works. Now, obviously, it takes years for that to be realized because you need to have the opportunity, the vision, the financing, the funding, the follow through, the management. How are we going to make this work?
Yeah. Well, you ended up at the end of the day partnering with others as well, but immediately you were thinking, I want to buy something down here.
Yeah.
And just waiting for opportunity.
I if you meet the right people, for example, we've known each other for almost 20 years now. When people work together and click together and it just feels right, I try to take advantage of that and just say, hey, and I mean, Nino, of course, took a decade to convince because he's so focused on, I mean, you're an architect through and through. Like, you just want to design.
Yeah.
Right? I'm wired a little bit differently.
Yeah, you are.
Do you want to know one of our resolutions that Nino and I discussed, actually?
Tell me.
By the end of this year, him and I want to buy a property together.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be here for you.
That's our goal.
Yeah, that is our goal.
Because otherwise, it's like you said, thinking about just finding people that you trust to partner with.
Yes.
And then it's going to be a little bit less of a burden coming up with initial funds to invest if we're teamed up together.
Which actually you did, because it was a beautiful piece of land, but it was like how many acres?
But if it's just you and Sarah, would you have the property?
No. Sarah and I have done multifamilies here in Columbus. We have single family homes. We have townhouses.
Yeah.
And buying a large tract of land and planning the development of it is a whole different skill set.
Animal, yeah.
Yeah, and we wanted to be aligned with a builder who is as passionate as we are, and we found that person and that couple, and Annette, also Sarah's partner, is as a part of this as well. So she and Sarah have this interesting dynamic to market Thanks for Visiting, and so we're really bringing like a lot of fun elements to this project, where we have the builders, the designers, the marketers, the managers. So we can handle
So it
everything.
requires multiple people.
Yes.
And one of our follow-up episodes, we'll probably have some of your partners on as guests.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
So we can actually talk a little bit more about it. Yep, very interesting. But then you mentioned you partner with another couple that they already have like a previous portfolio investment. They were also investors before.
Yes. But also an Airbnb.
Also an Airbnb. And what about? And they already have their own contractors they worked before that you guys gonna now hire and work on this big project.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the site itself? How many acres? What is your initial vision? I mean, if you wanna talk about it, if it is not a secret thing.
No, I can talk about it.
Yeah.
We looked at a lot of land.
At one point, it was like a cave with bats you were looking at, right?
Yeah, and one of the species of bats was protected,
yes.
and we couldn't. I wanted to do a cave house, and we really couldn't.
Because of that.
Yeah, so we've looked at all different. There are some properties we looked at that would rival Old Man's Cave, but they wanted $1 million for 17 acres, and the price would reflect the uniqueness of the land, and timing is everything. So Sarah and I weren't ready to commit to something like that at the time, or we were just scared of this particular thing that we were just unsure about. So it was a journey that we had to go on shopping for land, and of course you always want. You want the most unique, so you attract the most people, but sometimes it's not in the cards. And we found this one deal, 134 acres. It's not quite down in Hocking. We're about 10 minutes from Old Man's Cave. You got to keep going south if you want to go and get into Hocking. We're right on the border there, by the Metro Park. But we're actually about 10 minutes from Lancaster. And it is about a 50-minute drive from Columbus, so I love the fact that it's super close. Close proximity actually makes a difference. We're also not too far from Cincinnati, so we can cater to that market too.
And also you have all infrastructure on your site. I mean,
you already had some utilities like a well, septic. You had some things there.
Yeah, so we have one well, one septic, and 100 amp service. So obviously
100 amp service. Yeah.
I was just on site 2 days ago. We're upgrading to a 320 service. We're doing a new septic system for 3 new sites that we've been working on. We're obviously remodeling the existing cabin that was there. So I think.
Are you upgrading the well pump? Are you keeping the same well and just upgrading the pump? Or are you doing a new well as well?
So the current
well as well.
Well as well. Currently, we had the well tested. We're going to utilize that. It'll be able to service up to 4 single, 1-bedroom cabins, which is fine. And these are unique so the one cabin we're doing is obviously the existing one. We're going to make it beautiful. And then we got a couple mirror houses, which are going to be really unique.
So we're going to touch bases on that, but now you mentioned there is a multiple activity happening on that site. It's a big site. It's a beautiful site. But did you guys did any master planning before? Because I don't believe you just jump in. I was like, oh, okay, the mirror house is going to be there. This is going to be there. Did you guys went through any process of the planning?
First, I think it was walking the land, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, we walked the land. We also had to be thoughtful on how can we do this on a budget.
So proximity to the existing infrastructure was a consideration.
Yeah. And basically wherever our electrical roadways, we wanted to try to take advantage of that to get an income, right? So we can cash
and then
flow.
Start spreading out from that central point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we need to be able to cover our bases, cover our finances.
Of course.
And once we stabilize the property, then we can scale. So I mean, the ultimate goal is to have 20 plus
cabinets.
Even in like a community center where we have, a work retreat capabilities, a wedding venue capability.
So I was actually on site. It's beautiful. So you have like pretty easy access to it. I know Paul has to remove like
with the chainsaw.
Cut
there. Down trees.
Cut down some trees.
I rebuilt one of the chainsaws.
Literally. And you mentioned there was existing cabin there with all necessary services too, so water, electricity, and you pretty much started like thinking like, okay, I'm gonna utilize what I have on the ground first, just to be rational, because as soon as you purchase the land, the next thing is you have to start paying off that debt that you actually acquired for acquiring the land. But you pretty much first point was actually just to redesign this cabin, use what you can, add additional amenities, and then from there, then you start thinking about some new concepts, and one of them is the mirror house. So tell us a little bit first about the existing cabin that you guys are redesigning.
Yeah.
What is that now? Is it almost done? And then tell me about what are the mirror houses, how you heard about them, how you get to that idea to use such a things, and where are you actually going to acquire these mirror houses?
Yeah, I think we get new terminology here, glamping.
There you go.
Yeah.
And there's actually glamping conventions that you can go to.
It's like glamorous camping, right?
Yes.
Wow, glamping. So that's the first time I ever heard.
We'll go to these conventions that specifically talk about glamping and camping and all that stuff.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
And you actually did a tour of the mirror house at one of these like events, right?
Yeah. Actually,
Sarah did a tour. Or
we were looking into 3D, and we still are 3D printed.
Yeah,
and that's going to be on the table too. And it's this composite-based material that is also very cool and unique. And we went to California to see what they look like, what they feel like, how big the space is, how will it function. And so all that is on the table. We want to do these quick, unique, small units that people are going to love to stay in and still experience the woods, so that we can then build that base, get our finances under control, and then start doing some even more spectacular custom builds.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the mirror houses are certainly unique. Going back to the cabin, that's pretty straightforward and simple. The bedroom was small, so obviously we were reworking the kitchen, the bathroom, the mechanical room.
2 bedrooms, wasn't it?
No.
Or no, it was only one. It was
one master bedroom.
There were 2 bathrums.
There were 2
which
bathrooms.
was really strange. For one tiny bedroom that was the size of my closet. And then this great den area that had views of the trees. So basically, we reworked a lot of things. Made the bedroom bigger so we can have a king size bed, still a 1 bedroom. Made the bathroom bigger, but only 1 bathroom. A wall of windows that's facing now a new covered deck that's going to have a hot tub and dining. That's also facing the woods. And then just kind of, a little more luxury, right? Making those finishes pop, making it a little bit a nice stay.
Removing the finishes from the 70s and putting in ones from this era.
This era,
yeah. Some nice furniture, you know the drill.
So is that being completed now, or
right? We just finished the framing. We're in the middle of it right now.
You're in the middle of it.
So
okay.
I think we got about 2.5 to 3 months before that's done.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna get to like at the spring season, and you're gonna start
and open it up.
Yeah.
And while we have that going, we'll be, you know what? We're probably, the goal is to really have the 2 mirror houses completed in tandem with the cabin. So the shells are already completed. The mirror houses are actually very special. They're about 11 by 20 feet. So we're looking at a single room, essentially, studio apartment in the woods. 10-foot ceilings. 3 sides are floor-to-ceiling glass exposure.
Oh, so
facing.
But from the outside,
it's a mirror, so you have your privacy.
Yeah. So people can't see you, but you can see them on.
And you have all this reflection of the forest around you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like
it almost disappears.
Yeah.
The other side is cedar planks and a beautiful door and a small window. And we're gonna build a composite deck. Wrapped around these things with a hot tub, obviously.
Oh, nice.
And then we're setting these right out on a ledge that's overlooking our valley. So you are really kind of pushed out into the woods by yourself.
So you're gonna actually build a base with the foundation, everything, and deck that is gonna have hot tub, and then you're just gonna park your mirror house on top of that base.
That's it.
And the mirror house are coming from where?
So it's a company out of Estonia.
Yeah. Nice.
And they do have it's OOD. We'll put it in the link.
Yeah.
But and basically we just wanted to buy the shell from them because we wanted to have more control over the finishes inside. Our taste is a little more moody, a little more high end. Some of the stuff can go a little towards the RV world, which I want to stay away from. I've had an RV. I love RVing. But these are meant to be a little bit more upscale.
Luxurious.
Yeah.
The glamorous camping.
Camping.
Thank
exactly.
You. Yeah. So we're going to be able to close cell spray foam, put the kitchenette in, put the half bathroom. That's going to be, your half bathroom, 2 of the walls are completely glass.
Oh yeah,
and
so you have to trust that there is a mirror on the other side.
You are showering in the trees.
I love that.
So it's gonna be great, and I'm excited to stay in them myself. Actually,
yeah, I'm taking the showers, and the squirrels and rabbits are staring at you, and they're like, what?
but our work is just getting started. I mean, as soon as we get a couple of these open, we're hitting the trails.
How many mirror houses you actually gonna get it?
So right now we're just doing 2. Again, we want to have a diverse experience and experiment with a few different types of builds.
I just can't wait to see how this mirror house is going to turn out.
You're not going to take the mirror house and replicate it. That's like, once that's done, that's done. You have that. You have the cabin. You're probably going to do, there's garages on site too. You're going to do something there too, right?
Eventually the one garage is newer. We're going to put a glass door on there. It's going to be like a yoga studio type thing. We're going to do a big brick patio with a fire a fire pit, an outdoor kitchen, so people can entertain. The other one eventually we're going to take down, and we want to build like public showers, restrooms, offices, a kitchen, potentially a prep kitchen if you want to have events.
So almost like a gathering space, event space. Yeah.
Large pavilion. But I mean, we're also already working on some of these custom A-frames for clients. I'm just like, gosh, this would look beautiful. We're talking about a private lake.
What I'm excited about is the treehouse. I want to do a freaking treehouse build.
Yeah,
so.
It's on, 2 years.
30 feet in the air, up among the trees. You go sleep up there.
So it's gonna be. So we have a remodeled existing cabin. We have 2 mirror houses. We're gonna have some houses that are gonna be 3D printed. That's when you went to the California to see our entire process. And I actually saw some of these houses that looks amazing. Now there is a tree houses, there is A-frame, so there's like a variety of the architecture emerged in nature.
You want a bunch of unique experiences on the property, not just the same thing copy paste.
And property is big enough that you can you probably don't even be able to see your neighbor from your house.
Oh no, you can't see any. No, you can't see any neighbors. We're actually we're up on almost a plateau.
Nope.
So as you drive up our driveway, we're going up about 150 feet in elevation, and it feels remote.
Oh, it does.
And
it does.
Not only does it feel remote, it is remote.
It is remote. Yeah. I mean, there's no fakery there. It's a remote area. Yeah.
But we also want to get into some custom builds where maybe we have these unique cantilevers that are going over the side of the cliff. I might be showing my hand here, but we want to celebrate Ohio, and the potato Airbnb in Idaho or Iowa
probably Idaho.
Idaho. Yeah.
We want to do a Buckeye.
Which
we've already designed.
Iowa's probably a corn cob or something.
Yeah.
A giant ear of corn.
Oh, that's a good idea, Paul. Yeah. We need to call
every state has their own unique character. Philly will have like a cheesesteak or something. Cheesesteak Airbnb.
We also want to celebrate aviation, so we have some friends who own an old boneyard, and we're going to get a fuselage of an old 747 or 727, truck it all the way over here, and gut it and make it an apartment. Have the wing come out of the ground, be a walkout balcony with maybe a bar or something. Yeah.
So there is actually a house. When they actually build a house underneath of the wing of one of these Boeings.
Yeah.
So that entire wing is actually roof.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing was actually to transport that thing to the site, and they actually have to hire the helicopter to transport the giant wing, which is they didn't disassemble, they just build everything, and they park that wing on top of the house. It's amazing. Yep. It is amazing. So I kind of like that.
We want to have fun. I mean, we a lot of times in architecture we're limited with budget to stay conservative in our designs,
or materials, or labor, or there's a lot of things you have to navigate.
And plus, that's the recycling, because that piece of the airplane is sitting and resting somewhere and can be actually reused and re-engaged and recycled and be celebrated. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good approach. Very good approach.
Yeah. And of course, barn dominiums are super popular right now. We've designed a couple, and we're designing another one.
What is that?
It's a pole structure. It's a simplified framing structure to save on cost. It's not traditional framing, traditional foundation. Like it's posts.
Think luxury lodge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But then all the finishes you put into it are higher up, because you're saving money on material for all your core structure and foundation.
Got it.
And then you put that money into other places.
Got it.
But it's a lot of times it was used for literally a barn. That's why this term barn dominium comes from.
And that might be the design basis for our community center or something like that, right?
So barn style construction with all these higher end finishes.
Wow, I learned two things. The first one is that enhanced camping, which you
glamping.
Call it glamping, and now it's
barn dominium.
Barn dominium. Okay.
I think you could get into glamping. You're not much of a camper.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You want your shower and hot coffee.
Exactly. Me sleeping in a tent, forget about it.
No, you're going to have a bathroom, a shower, a king-size bed. But you'll still be in the woods.
We slept at the property one time, and Danny was in the little one-person shuttle pod. And he came out the next morning oh, yeah, I got great sleep. Everything's great.
Paul is sleeping in his Tesla.
Yeah. I had my HVAC going the whole night.
Jeez.
My camping mode.
I know that my neck will be screwed after the camping all night.
I'm a glamper too.
Yeah, I'm a glamper.
Glamp away. Yeah.
Let's go. I'm excited to work on the trails. We have miles of hiking trails already, but we need to obviously make them wider, safer, get rid of some of the prickers. I would say half of our land is super, super clean, and there's a lot of work ahead. It's amazing how many trees fall in a forest if no one's there to pick them up.
I believe a lot. And you're just going around. It was okay, there is another one.
Yeah, there was a stockpile of wood when you showed up.
If you guys need firewood, let me know.
Yeah. So that's going to be that cleaning the process. But once again, you can reuse it. You can, sometimes you'll be able to make something from what is there already. So you never know what new adventure. It's a big land. You already have plans, but some of these plans may be amended by the first how much money you're gonna have.
Sure.
And the second is like it's constantly evolving things. God knows what's going to be the next thing by the moment you actually reach your potential and start investing even more into that land.
I mean, we're dreaming some big ideas.
Hey, you should.
And I mean, with a 170-foot elevation on the property,
oh my God,
there's this valley in the smack in the middle of it, and we have a few streams as well, but not in this particular area. And I'm like, because you can't obviously. You can't block waterways. No. You can't obstruct those things. You have to stay clear of that. We don't want to change the ecosystem. For natural. So now we're like, can we do a private lake?
Yeah.
So there's the valley kind of winds a little bit. So it's like this.
It's almost kind of creating like a nice.
It's a perfect spot.
Perfect spot. Yeah.
So we would have to clear
a
lot of trees. And we're thinking about a 15-acre lake.
Wow.
We're talking to a biologist to see what goes in, because we want to create a sustainable ecosystem.
And how that can affect the ecosystem. Yep. Yeah, you just want to end up like listening to frogs all night long. Great. So yeah, I see what you're saying. That's beautiful. But that's what I'm telling you. That's like, you never know, just like walking through the site, and just new ideas can keep coming up and coming up. But first, I would like to see these mirror houses. I'm definitely like eager to see those.
I also want to do a telescope. I want to have a lookout.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because the stars there are incredible.
The sky was so clear. Yeah.
So if we invest like $5,000 for a telescope, you can easily see the moons of Jupiter, Saturn. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
You gotta get one of those like electronic trackers or whatever, where you can like literally punch in what you want to look at, and it knows the day and the time, and it's like, and then look, there's the rings of Saturn.
Technology and the what we are able to get our hands on now, just for a few $1,000s, is pretty impressive.
That was when I had my telescope as a kid. That was the frustrating thing, because I'd always like try to aim it, and stuff moves. The whole night sky is moving
constantly.
So like I'd finally be able to see something, and I'd start looking, and like 5 minutes would go by, and it's like out of view again. Now I gotta move it. So you got to get one of those things that automatically follows
tracking.
Yeah.
When you're actually documenting, I can nerd out right now.
Yeah.
But when you're documenting the Milky Way, and so you're doing some still takes, so you have to take in all this extra light, right, to get that more vibrant image. Well, these sophisticated telescopes move with the image very slowly, so it stays.
Stays in view. That's what I'm talking about.
That is so cool.
It's pretty fun.
I know you're big on stars and galaxies and Star Trek. So
when we were in,
that's all experiences now you can implement. Why not? And share with other people.
Yeah.
When we took a trip to Hawaii, we went up on one of the mountaintops, like in the middle of the night, and we did one of those like stargazing adventures.
Yeah.
But I mean, like he had like a telescope set up where he could take photos of stuff, where like it tracked everything automatically. He could punch stuff in, and it was an awesome experience.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, you should definitely do that down at the property.
But we were there like last year camping. We have our amazing chef preparing the amazing food. Danny, yeah. So it was a quite experience. It was only interrupted by the shower several times by rain.
And we had a rooftop to help cover.
Exactly.
And the raccoon was the other problem.
we also had bourbon.
Oh yeah,
that helped us forget about some of the negatives
and just enjoy it. But it was beautiful. It was really, really beautiful. And silent.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the development down there. So I haven't been back for several months now. So
it's a different type of skill set, like I said earlier. So we're learning a lot. Yes, it's challenging, but I think if we stay the course, it's 100% going to be worth it.
Yeah,
and it was like a big piece for you guys to like go for it. I mean, it was like it's a big investment.
Sure.
It's a really big investment, and I'm glad that you guys are able to find the companions that can actually invest together with you to make that things becomes the reality, because it's not a small piece of the land. But you're already able to, like you mentioned it, that you purchased this land, but there was some interest from other entities to just like purchase back or purchase portions of your land too. So you actually the bought the land, and then you had actually sold a portion of that too.
Yeah, one parcel was sold off as we bought the other parcels of land, which made the deal possible. And the cool thing about that was like, if you work it right and work the deal long enough and you know all these parties, you can now pick your neighbors too. And now they want a piece of the lake on their property, so they're going to pitch in for that. And like now you can do collaborations with your neighbors who are not your partners.
Yes.
But
they have common interests.
Yes. Yeah. Make this more feasible because.
Well, they're also using the land that's there, right? They want some of the similar amenities and access to certain things.
Or expand. Yeah. I mean, they end up looking for.
And who would have thought that a lake would cost $500,000 just to dig a hole?
Yeah.
Jeez. Excavation is expensive.
I didn't even know that. Yeah,
there's a lot of pieces that go into it to do it safely and do it
right. Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're doing a full basement on a house, $70,000-$80,000 for that, right?
Oh,
it can be pricey when you're digging stuff out.
Waterproofing and all this stuff, and for lake, I cannot even imagine.
Well, you have to line it with clay and stuff. Like there's things you have to do, and it has to be a certain depth. And
it depends on the soil composition. So you have to ship in clay in some cases.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you have to,
because otherwise all the water, if it's sandy.
Oh yeah, it's just gonna go through it. Yeah, I understand.
You'll have some good filtered water then.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's gonna go to your neighbors.
Hey, how do you fill the lake? How do you fill it up?
That's what my next question is.
There's a high water table there, so we're gonna dig a well, and the well's yeah. And like the well will be able to.
I mean, do you have to treat the lake?
So that's the whole conversation with the biologist. We do not want to treat it. We want it to be a natural
filtration. Yeah. So maybe have some.
So you have to go a certain depth so that the plant and animal life can survive.
You'll probably have to stock it with fish and other wild.
So that's the
something
thing.
I would.
So
but you
can't eat insect and mosquitoes and stuff. So
you can't just throw large fish in a new pond. They'll all die. There's nothing for them to eat.
Yeah.
So there is an entire ecosystem that you're recreating.
You have to start small. So you're not going to get those large fish for a couple of years, maybe longer.
Yeah.
You have to start small and build it up. Plant life is the foundation.
Yeah. And then you have to, control like mosquitoes and other guys.
And you don't want stuff sitting on top of the lake. You need to have an overflow. There's so many things you got to think about to make it work. We want it to be clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want to have to put chemicals in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very interesting. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see.
It's almost kind of built like a living machine, man, with the lake in it. Yeah, that's interesting.
The lake, I think, is down the road, but the mirror houses I want to see soon.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. But I'll probably be one of the first campers. I want to take the shower and in the middle of the forest.
Nino, you'll stay in the mirror house. We'll stay outside.
Yes. Yes. We're not gonna be able to see, but
as long as Danny's cooking for us, whatever.
Oh, jeez, that was some kind of Korean steak, whatever.
Stew or something.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else you got for me?
I think that's it. I think that's a good intro. We have a bunch of follow-up episodes that we can do. We're about at time. So I think we'll wrap it up here. And then we'll have your partners on. We'll talk about future development like later. Once you actually get the mirror houses installed, all the headaches there that you experience. We can, again, we'll have a ton of, we can
get into our
lesson learned.
Our branding and our fundraising.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff.
After we stay there, we could do a follow-up episode maybe after that,
Because it's you just have to tell us the story. It's not just go there and buy a land. It's multiple things that you guys have to go, the multiple hurdles that you guys have to go to. So, and also building all these things, what jurisdictions are going through for approval, what approval you needed, what approval you didn't need it.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought the county cares so much about septic and infrastructure?
Who will care about? Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, and
I think that's the number.
Do you have to go to the county? Do we have to go? What do we have to go through the state for all this stuff?
Yeah.
So I think we just touch the surface.
Yeah, I think it's a good intro.
Yeah,
and we'll save the rest for later.
So. Yeah,
sounds good to me.
Yeah. And it can be one of reoccurring episodes to be a revisit every so often. And it was hey, by the way, let's now talk about progress, because this is just a monumental project, a very, very big project.
You got 20 years ahead of you.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, I might have to have your kids take over.
That's probably it's
Once they're old enough to hold chainsaws, go clean up the wood.
Exactly.
Those trees that fell down over there, go chop them up.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, let them toughen up.
Put them to work.
Drop these like game pads and stuff from their hands and mouses, and let them chop some woods. Yeah. Help Uncle Nick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. I think we'll cut it there, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See ya. Take care.
This has been the ArcFluence Podcast. As always, you can get more information and additional content on arcfluence.com. Please subscribe on the platform of your choice and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you.